Welcome to Tiger Talks Wrestling. This is your host, Tony, and I'm usually joined by my co-host, Martini Charles Johnson III. He's not able to make it today, so we'll go solo for the day. Just want to mention before I get this started, thank you to everybody who's watched the last episode with Big Time Mike. I had a blast doing that one, and if you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch it. It's definitely worth it. One of my favorites, that's for sure. And today, we've got a young up-and-comer in the backyard community who is known in WTW and also made an appearance at Best in the Yard 3 this last year in one hell of a performance in a triple threat match when he faced D-Lock and Chase Bridges. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jackson Hendrix.
Thank you for having me on, man. It's good to be here.
Well, thank you for being on. It's nice to have you on here. Let's get into it right away. What was your backyard wrestling origins, would you say? What got you involved?
Oh, okay. Well, I've been watching professional wrestling since I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. So, I had always wanted to do this, just could never find the people that wanted to do it or could never find the people that are actually dedicated to doing it. And then King Crunch went to a private school in our town, and then he switched over to the public school that T-Bone, an old WCW alumni, Chase Chambers, and myself went to. And from there, I had him in one of my classes, and I knew he liked wrestling. So then we came up with the idea to do WCW, and after many attempts to start it, we finally got it going, and then it just kind of developed from there. At first, when we first started WCW, none of us really knew what we were doing. And then, over that's really how it kind of started, was when King Crunch switched over to the public school that I was attending at the time, and that's how we started.
Very nice. If I remember correctly, that the first show or first episode that you guys aired on WTW's YouTube page was you and King Crunch.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't recommend going to watch it, though.
Yeah. It wasn't the greatest. It was a couple of years ago. Just had to mention that was the first match on there.
Yeah, sure.
Who would you say was some of your pro wrestling influences that got you interested in doing backyard?
Oh, gosh. From my younger days, guys like Edge, Triple H, John Cena, from when I was like younger, and then Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero. But as I got older and the closer in a time I got to start backyard wrestling, I was really starting to get into guys like Seth Rollins, Kenny Omega, AJ, and he would have been Prince Devitt at the time, Finn Balor now. Just a lot of different guys. And then, of course, and then that was the guys that kind of made me want to start backyard wrestling. And then, Shawn Michaels is another one I forgot. But as over the course of time, in terms of my inspirations for like how I currently wrestle and, some character and wrestling inspirations, I look at guys like Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, guys like those.
Yeah, I would say you can definitely see those guys out of your arsenal.
Yeah, for sure.
Videos of your stuff. Yeah. Were you ever active in watching backyard wrestling before you started in backyard wrestling?
Well, I watched KBW, and that was really the only people I knew. And then Myron Reed came about, and I knew BEW, and those were really the only two I watched. But ironically, my brother lives in North Carolina, and this is before I'd ever started backyard wrestling. And and then I found VTW on YouTube. The first match I actually watched was Drew Hood versus Big Time Mike from Best in the Yard 1. And then from there, I just kind of started watching their content more and more. And then our first video went up like a few months later. So then I started paying attention to VTW a lot more. And then, other than KBW, no, I didn't really. Before I started doing it, I didn't pay too much attention. I didn't watch too much backyard wrestling.
Gotcha. That seems to be, honestly, the case for most people that I've talked to on here.
Yeah, for sure, I bet.
Mainly get their start in pro wrestling, or KBW was their first shot that they had. Yeah. Let's delve into pretty much the first feud that we've seen you in WTW was with Chase Chambers that you mentioned earlier. What would you have to say about that whole?
Oh gosh, man. Unfortunately, Chase Chambers is not currently in WTW. I'd love to get in there and mix it up with him again. Even though I wasn't near as experienced or knew as much knowledge as I do now, which I would still consider very little, but for the matches we had, for our talent and knowledge, then were really good. So, I mean, I'd like to work with him then, but I mean, I don't know that feud. So I mean, WCW was still really in its infancy then, but I mean,
Right.
that feud really latched on to fans for sure. I don't even know why. Like, it even got to the point where fans were messaging Chase on Facebook and then pissed that he turned his back on me. And,
Yeah.
but that was a really fun feud to do. I mean, I regret some of the things that we did during the feud. I wish we could have done it a little bit differently. But other than that, I mean, that was a really fun feud to be a part of. I'd really, really like for another saga of it, just different maybe this time. That
Right.
was really a fun feud to do.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much the first feud I really watched. First time I started watching WTW was when you were in that feud with Chase there. Um, guys put on some pretty good matches, I would say, throughout the couple months that you guys wrestled each other.
Thank you. Yeah, that was kind of during a time where WTW was struggling in terms of people showing up. So a lot of times it's just me and Chase Chambers, at the arena all the
Right.
time. So I mean, we always kind of had to figure out something to do. So I mean, it just kind of turned into a huge Jackson Hendrix Chase Chambers rivalry, and that really grabbed fans' attention, I guess.
Yeah, I would have to agree that it did. Once you were finished with that feud, you kind of went on a downward spiral in WTW from there, as we've seen quite a lengthy losing streak. What's your
Yes.
opinions on that situation?
Well, it all started when King Crunch, longtime rival, then apologizes to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm under the impression that, everything that happened beforehand, all the stuff that happened at the beginning of WTW is water under the bridge. And he was the champion when he got injured. And I won it when he was during the time that he was injured. So when he came back, I just thought should get the rightful rematch. And at first, I thought he was a friend. I thought he was respectful. After all that stuff that happened beforehand, everything, I just thought it was all water on the bridge, that we could forget about it. So then at Anarchy, I wanted to give him a proper rematch for the championship that he got screwed out of beforehand.
Right.
So I'm just under the impression, friend versus friend, let's just go out there, put on a good show. And then little do I know, he turns his back on me at the end
Mm-hmm.
and walks out with the WCW championship. And I'll give him this. He beat me clean. He did. No
Right.
bullshit, but he turned his back on me and said, I just used me. I just used Jackson Hendrix to get back to the WTW championship. And from there, I tried to take down the corruption of Wesley Walker, the GM.
Yep.
I lost. I got another match against King Crunch. I lost. I drawed at T-Bone. I drawed with T-Bone at Resurrection. I lost at Doomsday, and then that just kind of left me wondering, like, hey, where do I go from here? Like, I mean, I've lost so many times. I haven't been able to capture that WTW championship. So I decided I need to take some time off from WTW, and I was never sure if I was going to come back or not. And as you saw at Game Over, I made my return and won the Rumble,
Right.
and then went on to face King Crunch in a rematch.
Yeah, and I'd say it's a little bit of a surprise to see you return in that Rumble match. Some people might have been expecting it, some probably weren't. But as you mentioned, you did win that match at Game Over. And then we've seen the build up towards your match with King Crunch at Mania. What would you say of the overall build up heading into that match?
What do I have to say about the overall build-up? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish it would have, went up when it was supposed to air, but unfortunately, it didn't, just due to trampoline issues, other stuff. But the build, I was very in a place that it was a must win for me. That match was a must win for me,
Right.
and because I couldn't come back after I lost so many times, just come back and lose to the King Crunch again. So overall, the build I think was a very interesting one to say the least. Because I mean, old time rivals meet again. I mean, I'm back. I was back to take what he had, and as you saw at Mania 2, we collided and went head to head.
That you did in a 30-minute draw is what it ended up being, but one hell of a match that you two put on. Um,
Thank you.
you're welcome. For me personally, I'm hoping to see that you get the rematch against him at some point, and who knows what the outcome will be then, and hopefully no time limit will help you out there.
Yeah, me too. I'm hoping so too. I mean, it kind of sucks when you're just one step away from winning that WTW championship, and unfortunately, I ran out of time. I should have been more. I should have been more attentive to the time, and I don't know. I could have been better about that, but I'm also hoping for a rematch against King Crunch. I would like to see us go one at it, even though I don't like him. Even though I think he's arrogant. I can't deny his talent in the ring, and he definitely showed that at
Right.
WTW Mania too. He took me to my limits.
Yeah, I was just gonna make that mention. You definitely both took each other to your limits, in my opinion, in that match.
Yeah, for sure. We both hit everything we had in our books and more.
Right. All right. And I do want to say for anybody who might be viewing, please leave comments, questions in the chat section there. Um, we do have one comment here, just from Busta Boy. It says, "Hey, what's up? Hope to see you again at the next Best in the Yard. You did awesome."
Thank you. Thank you. Hello to you as well. And yeah, I'd like to see myself at Best in the Yard next year too. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, we'll get into that match from Best in the Yard 3 here in a little bit, but I just want to get your overall opinion as to the WTW roster as of right now.
Okay, this should be an interesting one. Um, I mean, the size of it can be a struggle at times, and I feel like it's very much a developing and upcoming roster. For example, Daniel
Right.
Devitt. I think Daniel Devitt is on his way to being a huge star in WCW, maybe backyard wrestling as a whole. I mean, Daniel Devitt has what it takes. And then you got some freaks on the roster like Juggernaut, WTF, Rakesh. Then you got Relic and Abaddon, who Lord only knows what goes on in their minds. But overall, I think it's. And then you got T Bone, which T Bone has got some developing to do, but I think he can get there in time. But and then you got King Crunch, which to me is arguably the greatest in ring worker we have in WTW. And overall, I think in time the WCW roster will get very good and become like a lot better. But as for now, I feel like it's a developing roster with King Crunch and I at the forefront of it, kind of leading it.
Right.
But yeah, I think Daniel Devitt is a huge star in the making. But if we had a little bit of a bigger roster, it'd definitely make the show much easier to deal with. But yeah, I have a lot of faith in the roster. I'm proud to share the locker room with the guys that I do.
Yeah, I would say for Daniel Devitt, as you were mentioning, I would agree with you on that. He looks like he's a guy that if he learns the correct way, then he definitely could make strides in WCW and the backyard in general. Um, his match that he had at Mania was a very brutal match, and it was all right. I'll give it that much.
Yeah, Daniel Devitt had actually had a creative debut in WTW. I mean, he won the WTW championship, and
That he did.
Daniel Devitt was a really good attraction. I actually met, King Crunch, T Bone, and I went to a pro wrestling seminar with WWE Hall of Famer Animal. It was about 15, 20 minutes from where we lived, and we actually met Daniel Devitt there because he goes to a different school than the rest of us do. But we met Daniel Devitt there, and I'm glad we did because he's a great attraction to the roster. He really is.
Yeah, I've been impressed by what he's done so far in most of his matches. So it's definitely a guy to
Yeah, me
watch.
too. I really look forward to. I haven't gotten a chance to get in there with him yet, but I look forward to the time that I do. I think it's going to really tear the house down.
I could definitely see that happening. Like I said, he's been kind of impressive so far. So look forward to
Yeah,
seeing what
for
he can
sure.
do. As you mentioned, I think he'll probably be the next big star, so as to speak, in WTW besides you and King Crunch. So we'll see if that happens or not, though. All right. So let's go into Best in the Yard 3 here for a moment. How about the build up leading into it? First,
Well, man, that's a crazy one because I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit on this one, but
go for it.
uh, my Best in the Yard match changed about 2 weeks prior to heading down to North Carolina to film the show because it was originally supposed to be a singles match between me and D-Lock, but unfortunately, I won't say any names, but Chase Bridges' opponent was unable to come due to travel issues, and so I texted D-Lock and I told him, hey, call me when you can, and he did, and then I was like, hey, what if we added Chase Bridges to our triple threat, to our match of Best in the Yard? I was like, I really think it'd be good, and then he agreed, and then we all got on a three-way call and figured out how we were going to do it. But I'm really glad Chase got added into that triple threat. I mean, he put on one hell of a performance, and I think he added a dynamic that not necessarily wouldn't have been there, but it just added something different to that match. And I mean, I hope to be able to face both of them in a one-on-one someday. But yeah, the build was a crazy one because I mean, you got Chase, and Chase is trying to find out who his antagonist is and trying to prove to his antagonist that he's worthy. Me, on the other hand, I'm a newcomer coming into Best in the Yard. not many people know me, so I'm walking in. I got to make a statement. And
Right.
D-Lock's the YouTube champion. He's cocky, he's arrogant, he's the outlaw. He's got to back up everything he said in the process. He's got to win. And then but yeah, I mean the build up was a crazy one. I mean the match really I thought tore the house down, but
I would
Best in
agree.
the Yard was a hell of an experience because like going there, I was the only WCW guy that I went there, and a
Right.
lot of my family lives in North Carolina, but I live in Kansas, so it was a long travel to get to Best in the Yard. But I didn't really know what to expect going in there because that was the first time I'd ever crossed over with any other company. That was the first time I met all the VTW, BEW New York, all the other companies there.
Right.
That was the first time I got a chance to meet a lot of them, and it was a really fun experience. I really hope to be back there next year, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys I want to work with from the community that I haven't been able to yet.
Very nice. Let's talk a little bit about Best in the Yard overall. What was your favorite match that, besides your match that you were in, obviously watching from Best in the Yard?
I don't know. There's so many. There was a lot of good. There was a lot of good matches on that show, but I'd have to go with Cage and Cameron Jackson. Just the icon versus icon, just the heat and momentum going into it, and just Cage brought in a whole nother universe from the KVW fans, and I think
That's
that
true.
there was just that there was something about that match. Yeah, I mean, to me, it was the equivalent of Hogan versus Rock at WrestleMania 18. That was kind of
Fair.
backyard wrestling's version of it, and I mean, I was looking forward to it. To seeing it, I'm glad I got to watch it live. I mean, that was a hell of a match to watch. Those two put on a hell of a performance at Best in the Yard. Like props to both Cage and Cameron. But
Right.
yeah, that was probably my favorite match as a whole on the show.
All right. Fair enough. I know that's a lot of people's pick probably for the show. I do want to get your opinions. I've asked every guest pretty much I've had on here, so I've got to ask you too. Do you believe that Yankee and Zach Daniels should have been the main event match of the show?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Zach Daniels is, in my personal opinion, uh, Zach Daniels may be the best person overall, like all around in this community. And I mean, Dustin Reagan's definitely up there too. Dustin Reagan and Zach Daniels are the two that I think this community has the
Right.
best to offer. And Zach Daniels definitely deserved that main event. It had an amazing build. I can understand why people would say it shouldn't have been the main event because I know it had a tough task to follow. Because I mean, you had Drew and Novin, and then you had Cameron and Cage, and then you had Big Time and Rick, which was an emotional roller
Wow.
coaster because that was Mike's last match. But yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely think Zach and Yankee was the right main event. I mean, they're two full time active guys in the community. Had a hell of a build. Both are
Yeah.
really, really good at what they do. So yeah, I absolutely think that should have been the main event of Best in the Yard.
All right. That's a fair enough point. As I've always mentioned, those two guys, their build up towards that match was almost a year long for one thing. So, in my opinion, they had the best story leading up to Best in the Yard, and they definitely deserved and put on one hell of a performance in that main event.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on that.
Even though a lot of people say Cage and Cam should have been the main event, I just can't see the argument for that going on as the main event, especially with the finish that they had in their match.
Yeah,
Would
I
have
would.
left
Yeah.
a that would have left a sour
Um,
taste, I think, in a lot of people's mouth
I would have to agree
if
with
that would
you.
have
I
been the
think
match.
Zach Daniels beating Yankee was a good way to close the show. I mean, it left the fans going home happy. And but yeah, Zach and I can understand why people would say Cameron and Cage should have been the main event. But with Cage coming back, I think it was the right decision to have two full time guys from the community main event Best in the Yard.
Yes, I would agree with that. So, have you gotten a chance to watch the King of the Yard at all?
Yeah, I actually got a chance to watch some of it. I mean, it was I mean, like several different rounds. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but I saw Cameron Jackson won. Yeah, there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good matches on that show, and I wish
I'd
my boy
agree.
Jamal Payne could have went a little bit further. But Zach Daniels had a hell of a performance. Dustin Reagan did awfully well. There's a lot of good talent on that show, and unfortunately, I didn't get to meet a lot of them at Best in the Yard. But I hope I can work with some of them. Nick Somas is one. Ellis Taylor showed out. Charlie Tiger did
Yes,
well.
you did.
I mean,
They
there's a
both did,
lot of
yes.
talent at King of the Yard. I think it was a very interesting show too because like the dynamic of it. I mean, it kind of is the show. I mean, who is the best in the art? And unfortunately, I feel like it was kind of I don't want to say damaged, but I feel like it kind of struggled in the sense that it went up. as Best in the Yard and after Best in the Yard was going up.
Right.
So I feel like had it went up a few months earlier, I think the show would have been better off. But because you had Crossover Crisis, Best in the Yard. I mean, you had VTW Mania, Crossover Crisis, Best in the Yard, King of the Yard, all in the span of just a few months. So I think it was a lot on the viewers. But overall, I think King of the Yard was a good show. But I think it definitely would have benefited had it been a few like a farther distance between Best in the Yard and King of the Yard.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And I have talked to both of the guys that were in charge of that King of the Yard taping, and I know they had their problems with getting people to help edit and getting it up. So that's
Yeah.
about all I'll say about that. But yeah, I definitely agree. If it would have went up sooner than what it did, it would have made a little bit bigger of a splash in the community, in my opinion. But it
Yeah,
still
I
was a
agree. Because the hype from Best in the Yard was really still dying down by the time we got to the finals, the King of the Yard.
yep.
And some of the things from King of the Yard struggled because Best in the Yard had already happened.
Right.
And I know initially King of the Yard was supposed to happen before Best in the Yard, but I mean, hey, some things happen. That's all right.
That's true. Do you see yourself, if there's a King of the Yard next year, possibly traveling to be a part of it?
Oh man, it's a long travel. I mean, I'd love to be a part of it. I mean, I don't want to say I will be there if there is a King of the Yard. I don't want to say I will be there because I don't want people to be like, oh, he said he was going to be there. Why is he not? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily rule it out, but if
Right.
I was a betting man, I'd probably count on me not being there just because New York is a long travel. I mean, I'd love to be a part of King of the Yard, though. I mean, a lot of good talent on that show. Really interesting show. I mean, it'd be really cool to be a part of, though. That's for sure.
Right. So, how about any other possible future crossover events besides, obviously, you mentioned Best in the Yard for next year, which I want to delve into that a little bit, but any other places that you think you would travel to?
I'd like to work with the BEW New York guys. I mean, Navon McDonald is charismatic as can be.
Right.
So yeah, I'd like to go up to BEW New York. I'd like to do some stuff with Proving Ground. I think that'd be pretty fun. I mean, I know the door is open, but it's just in terms of behind the scenes travel issues. Because
Right.
Kansas to New York is a long, long way. So I mean, I know the door's open for Proving Ground, but it's just a matter of getting there. But I'd definitely love to go to BW New York, work some stuff in Proving Ground. I mean, if UWE was more active, I'd like to go there, but
Right.
I don't even know what's going on with that.
Who does?
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, you said you'd like to be a part of Best in the Yard for next year. Is there any specific people that you would prefer to face at Best in the Yard for if given the opportunity to?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, it's hard to limit it just to one, but if I had to give one person that I really want to get in the ring with at Best in the Yard for, it'd be Dustin Reagan. I mean, behind the scenes, Dustin has helped me so much. I mean, just with like small details in wrestling, he's helped me so much to become a better performer. And I wouldn't be the performer I am today without Dustin Reagan. And just the match itself, I think there was a really good story to tell between Dustin Reagan and myself. And I think the match would just absolutely just tear the house down. I think that'd be a really fun match for the fans. I think that's something they'd like to see. At least I'd hope so. And that's definitely something I would want to do. I mean, but there's several other guys I'd want to work with too. I mean, I'd like to get in there with Zach.
Right.
I'd like to work with the Bad Sons. Um, the Yankee would be fun. Yankee would be a fun one, and then obviously Drew Hood, the
Oh yeah.
megastar. That would be a good one. I think I mean, Drew Hood and I's characters they're built around very different things, so I feel like that'd be an interesting story to tell.
Yes, it would be. I would have to agree with you on that. All right. Well, since we were kind of mentioning it a little here, Busta Boy did ask, what is a dream match that you like to have? If you want to name
In
any.
pro or backyard?
It's a good question. He didn't specify. Let's go one of each.
Okay. Backyard, Dustin Reagan, like I said, and then pro. Oh my gosh, there's so much talent out there that I would
That's
love to
true.
work with. But oh god, I'd probably have to go with AJ Styles. I mean, AJ Styles to me is probably the best wrestler on the planet right now. I mean,
Right.
there's some other guys up there, Okada, Omega, a lot of the New Japan guys. Then I mean, you got some great guys in WWE too, Rollins, Balor. I mean, Nakamura. Kevin Owens. But yeah, I'd have to go with AJ Styles would be my ultimate dream match.
Very nice. Hey, got any stories from your experience at Best in the Yard that you want to share?
Navon McDonald's love for Chick-fil-A is something very entertaining. It was really cool because I first got there and it's kind of nerve-wracking because I'm the only WTW guy. I travel by myself, so it's like you don't really know what to expect because you're walking into a
Right.
field of people you've never met before. I mean, I talked to several of them, of course, but
Yeah.
never met them in person. But I mean, we all went to the mall and then we all ate, and it was cool because I actually got to ride with the KBW guys, and it was kind of
Okay.
surreal because it's like I'd watched these guys, and they were partially an inspiration to get me to do this, and then riding with them at Best in the Yard, it just kind of seemed like stuff came full circle. I mean, and then stuff on the show. I mean, Jamal Payne is. I think he's putting out some really good work right now, and he's a really good friend. So, uh, obviously, no one it wasn't recorded or no one see it, but being able to get in the ring with him a little bit before Best in the Yard was really fun, and just getting to meet everybody in general. I mean, the night before Best in the Yard was fun. I wish I could have gotten to stay longer uh, at VTW, but yeah, the time I had there was really fun. Navon McDonald, yeah, he was telling me how much he ate Chick-fil-A because we were supposed to go. Gosh, I think it was an Asian place or something. But Navon, Evan Blake, and I all voted that we wanted Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
So we ended up just going to the mall due to the so many different restaurants. And then, but yeah, the first person that I actually saw at Best in the Yard that walked up to me when I first got there was, well, actually, it was four. Yeah, it was four of them: Ecstatic, Aaron Jones, Tyler Aiken, and Drew Hood.
Nice.
So I mean, meeting Drew Hood for the first time, I mean, it's crazy because like obviously you know these people exist because you see them on videos and stuff, but like when you
Right.
actually meet them in person, it's like holy shit. I mean, I've watched these people on like on videos and stuff, but it's just so surreal to meet a lot of them. And then yeah, just to meet everybody. I mean, they were all pretty nice people. I definitely would like to go down there for Best in the Yard 4 again. I hope I am. I mean, I don't know anything yet.
Right.
It's pretty far out to tell, but
Long ways away.
yeah,
Yeah.
Best in the Yard 3 just overall. We're going to Waffle House, staying at VTW, watching VTW Mania in Tyler's room with a lot of the VTW guys was pretty fun. Yeah, just I mean, Best in the Yard as a whole was really fun. I really wish King Crunch and Daniel Devitt, especially King Crunch, could have been there. But yeah, the whole experience was it's something you can't describe unless you experience it.
Gotcha. So we did see with BTW this year they did a 30-man Rumble for their Rumble show. Would you possibly be willing to participate in that if you got the offer to next year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, being a part of a 30-man Royal Rumble would just be fun. And then that gave me an opportunity to get in there with a lot of guys that I haven't. I mean, I know it wouldn't be one on one. We wouldn't full out get to do what we can, but I mean, it'd just be fun to get in there with a lot of them at the same time. I mean, who knows? Will Jackson Hendrix be at VTW reunion in 2018? I don't know, but
Right.
maybe. But yes, I would definitely love to be a part of the reunion Rumble because WTW's Rumble's awfully small and VTW's definitely got the best Royal Rumble in
That's
all of this community. So I would love to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think you would definitely add to it if you were a part of it next year. Just it's surprising to see 30 backyard guys actually in one arena, pretty much, in my opinion, though, too.
Yeah, for real.
So I want to get your opinion on this. You're as we see in WTW, you guys wrestle on the trampoline. What was the
Yes.
difference between doing that and then going to VTW and wrestling inside a ring in a building?
Oh man. I mean, to be honest with you, and I saw Dustin Reagan said this too. I almost think it's easier to wrestle in a ring on a trampoline. I mean, yeah, there's certain things you got to pay attention to, but like, I mean, I've been to pro wrestling seminars and stuff, so I kind of knew what to expect, but I'd never had a full on match in the ring, and I still didn't have one like beforehand at Best in the Yard. Like that triple threat match was the first and only match I've ever full on had in a ring. But in terms of
Right.
adjusting to the ring, I mean, there wasn't really any difficulties because I prefer wrestling in a ring because you don't have to deal with the constant bounce and shifting. You actually have foot placement,
Right.
and just there's just something about wrestling in the ring that's so much different. But yeah, I would. The hardest transition is really not the trampoline to the ring; it's the ring
Gotcha.
going back to the trampoline.
Yeah,
Because
that's
like
true.
after I came back from Best in the Yard, and then I think the first, oh god, it was I think it was the first thing I filmed well, not film, but the first person I wrestled when I got back was Daniel Deadman from Best in the Yard, and it obviously didn't get uploaded, but it was just weird going back to the trampoline after being in the ring. You don't really, it's just kind of strange. So it's not really the
Yeah.
trampoline to the ring that's hard. That's actually pretty fun, but the ring to the trampoline can be kind of weird.
Gotcha. Fair enough point. Matt Maverick actually asked, any up and coming backyard wrestling guys you would love to work with or love to watch?
Matt Maverick is one of them. K9, yeah, I think K9 in VTW is doing some really good stuff, and
I would agree.
Casey Chambers is and D'Lo. I like them as a tag team. I think they're doing some really good stuff. So I'd like to work, and I'd love to watch all of them. I know Chase Bridges has been around for a while, and I know I've gotten a chance to work with him in a triple threat, but I really, really would like to work with Chase Bridges again. Whether that's working against him, whether that's working with a tag team with him, I'd really like to work with Chase Bridges again. But yeah, all the new guys at VTW's gotten K9, Casey Chambers, Matt Maverick, all of them. I'd like to work with all of them. I mean, it's something new that I haven't gotten a chance to see a lot of them. I mean, I've seen some of their stuff on Vindication, but yeah, I would love to work with all of them.
Yeah, we definitely haven't seen that much of them yet in VTW, but from what little we've seen of a few of them, they look pretty impressive. K9 especially is one of the first ones you mentioned there. He's had some very good matches in the few that he's had on Vindication, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. He's facing Chase Bridges at Halloween Hangover, right?
Right. Yep.
That's
After
what I
beating
thought.
Aaron Jones at Day of Gold Vindication, that's what he earned.
Yeah, I need to still watch Drew and Zach. I haven't gotten a chance to watch that yet, but
Oh yes,
I'll
definitely,
definitely get around to it.
definitely get around to that. It's worth it. That
All
was
right.
the match of the night, in my opinion. So Matt Maverick gives you a thumbs up on the answer there.
Thumbs up back at you, bud.
All right, guys. If you got any other questions, feel free to ask them still. I'm going to move into one of my favorite segments of the show here. I'm going to put you in an elimination chamber scenario here. I want you to tell me 5 backyard wrestlers that you would face in that match, and then who would be the last person you'd eliminate to win the match.
Um, gosh, this is hard. Oh man, Drew Hood, we got to throw him in there. Cameron Jackson, we also got to throw him in there.
Of
That's
course.
2. Zach Daniels, Dustin Reagan, and D Glock to finish this off. And if I
Okay.
had to pin anybody, it'd have to be D Glock because as you guys saw at Best in the Yard, I had that triple threat match won. I
True.
hit Chase Bridges with the final flash. I was going for the cover, but D Lock decided it was a good idea to throw the referee into Chase and I and brainbuster me. So, I mean, granted, I should have been more on guard, but if I were to pin anybody, it'd be D Lock to prove that when D Lock and I step in the ring, I am the better man.
Fair enough point as to your answer on that one. So let's say you've won this elimination chamber match, therefore you get to go on a main event Best in the Yard. Who would you face, and for what title would you want?
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. I won't say Dustin because I already said I wanted to face him earlier, so I won't. I'll come up with somebody else.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with Drew Hood.
Okay.
Drew Hood for the VTW World Championship.
Fair enough point. And a little different of answers than what I get from most people, but it's nice to hear. The VTW guys get a little more love from somebody. Oh,
Yeah, like
they get it sometimes.
yeah, like I mean, I'd said Zach and Dustin earlier, so I wanted to get someone else in there. So yeah, Drew Hood.
All right, it's a good pick. It's definitely that'd be quite an interesting match in my opinion if you and Drew stepped into the ring. So
Yeah, would either Drew or Cameron, either one. I mean, either one. I'd love to
right.
work with both of them
Yeah, that
because
would
I
be
mean they've
good.
been the kings of the community forever, and
True.
I'm the upcoming guy, and it'd be interesting to see if I can knock them off their throne at the show that they built. So yeah, it'd
Right.
definitely be an interesting dynamic.
So have you seen Best in the Yard 1 and 2 since we talked about Best in the Yard 3 a little here?
Yeah, I haven't seen Best in the Yard one. It's in its entirety. I saw uh Everett and Tyler. Oh God, Drew and Mike.
Mhm.
Ecstatic, Cameron Jackson, and Corey Graves. And then that was all I saw for Best
Right.
in the Yard 1, but I did see the whole show at Best in the Yard 2.
What was your overall opinion of the show?
Best in the Yard
Best
2?
in the Yard. Yes.
You know, I have a different perspective on wrestling than most, so I have a different approach to a lot in terms of differing people in the community. So I mean, a lot of the weapons they definitely had a place on that show. I mean, they definitely needed to be there. But overall, I thought the show was
Right.
very good. But to see a little bit more wrestling on the show would have been nice.
Yeah.
Just because that's what I love to see. But overall, I thought it was a really good show. If I had to go for a match of the night, it probably would have been Zach Daniels and Chase Bridges or D Lock versus Theory of Perfection. Both of those were really good, I thought.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on both of those points. Definitely needed a little more wrestling, and as Mike and I mentioned in his podcast, um, to me, WrestleCon actually from last year outdid Best in the Yard too. I don't know if you've seen WrestleCon or not, but
Oh yeah, I did see WrestleCon. Well, that was the one with Jason Walker and Cameron Jackson in the main event, right?
yes, that it was.
Okay, and then yeah, okay, yeah, now yeah, okay, it's starting to come back to me. Yeah, I remember that show. That was a good show.
Yes, it was. It was a very good show, and something I was kind of hoping for a second year of, but with APW's issues and everything, we didn't get that. So
Yeah, because that was like Backyard Wrestling SummerSlam. I know it was kind of switched places in terms of what time of the year it fell in because it was in the spring, but WrestleCon was like
right.
BYW's SummerSlam and Best in the Yards like BYW's WrestleMania. So it was cool to see both of those. I hope it returns sometime.
Who knows? We'll see. I know if it does, it probably would have to happen somewhere else because APW is technically done and they tore down their ring. So,
Yeah, that's true.
uh, Matt Maverick says, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I trained K9 before VTW standards, but don't tell him I said that. Now he better watch it with that whole standards thing. He might get a little visit from Ecstatic there.
Yeah, for real.
But
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
I need to catch up on some VTW stuff. I mean, I watch here and there. I watch a lot of Jamal Payne stuff. I think he's putting out a lot of great work right now. And
yes, he's doing really good.
if I was booking, Jamal Payne would be contending for the world championship. But
Right.
yeah, I hope to see him contending for the world championship again soon. I
From
know
what
he's
I've
an
heard,
arrogant, cocky douchebag, but overall, he's
right?
done very well with his work.
Yes, he has. From what I've heard, he's going to be featured quite a bit in the rest of this year in the BTW World Title picture. So we'll see
It's
what
interesting
happens with
where
that.
VTW is going to go because I mean, you got a lot of guys in there right now. I mean, you just had a. I saw that Zach won it, but I hadn't seen the chance yet because I saw it on his Twitter and stuff. So,
Right.
I mean, you got Zach. I mean, Drew Hood. I mean, I saw put his gloves down. So who knows what Drew Hood's going to do?
Yeah.
Then you got Jamal Payne coming up. You got Kevin Shaw, who's still always going to be in title contention. You got Dustin Reagan. He hasn't forgotten about it yet. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be
Right.
interesting to see where VTW goes because you got a lot of different people that can contend for that world championship and has a rightful right to win it.
That is true. And when you're talking about that, you obviously can't forget about Cameron Jackson either because he's now VTW wrestler, and Cameron Jackson in the world title cannot be without mentioned in the same picture, in my opinion. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I saw I knew kind of where they were going just because, but Cameron Jackson versus D Lock should be an interesting one because I saw it looks like that's where they're going. I'm not sure. Like it looks like that's where they're
right.
headed towards, but I look forward to seeing
That's
that
what's
if I do.
looking like. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what Cam and D-Lock can do together. Because if memory serves me correctly, I don't think we've actually seen those two step in the ring one on one yet.
Yeah, I don't think we have either.
So that's definitely going to be something interesting to see how that goes about and what they bring out of each other, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'll definitely be watching.
Now, since you haven't seen the main event, you probably didn't see what Matt Maverick's talking about here. I don't know if he did or not, but I'll ask his question anyways. What are your thoughts on Jamal's actions on attacking Drew Hood after the main event at Day of Gold?
Okay, I did see that part. I was shocked. I um I was shocked. I thought Jamal and Drew had buried their issues, but apparently Jamal still got issues from Christmas Chaos last year, judging by his tweets and his actions. But
Right.
I look forward to seeing Jamal Payne and Drew Hood. Because we don't even know what Drew Hood's gonna do. So
Right.
yeah, I look forward to Jamal Payne. Uh, it was shocking. I didn't really expect that to happen.
It's me, honestly, I wasn't too surprised by it because I know Jamal doesn't seem like he's the type of person to just forget things. So
Yeah, that's true. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's another guy. Jamal Payne is another guy that I really, really want to work with at some point.
yeah, I could see that. That'd definitely be quite the interesting feud there between you and him.
I
So
agree. Polar opposites,
yes,
especially in the ring. Polar opposites. I think that would mesh really well. There's a lot of interesting things I think we could do with that match.
with the strength that Jamal Payne brings to the table and a little bit of speed, then your full blown speed and technical savvy.
Yeah.
I'll give you make for quite the interesting combination.
Yeah, it would.
Nothing else. Okay. Let's see. Do you have any pro aspirations as of right now?
Do I have any what?
Pro aspirations, going pro at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm a junior in high school right now, so my
A little
hands are
bit.
kind of tied right now, but I don't exactly know how it's going to happen, but I can tell you this. The final WCW match will not be the last wrestling match I wrestle, that's for sure. I mean, pro wrestling is really what I wanted to do and have wanted to do for a long time. So I definitely want to continue wrestling. I mean, if I picture my life without wrestling and without being able to be Jackson Hendrix or some of the other guys I am, I don't think it would. I don't know. It just seems like it'd be kind of boring. But I mean, there's other things I want to do with my life. But yes, I definitely want to be a pro wrestler.
Gotcha. And Maverick says Jamal Payne has nothing on me. Don't tell him that either, or on Jackson.
Thank you. Yeah, Jamal Payne isn't shit. He's just an arrogant douchebag. That I don't even know what the hell got into Jamal Payne.
Right?
I don't know if he feels entitled because he got success really fast, but I don't even know what the hell got into Jamal Payne. But someone needs to put him in his place, and maybe Drew Hood will, maybe he won't. I don't know.
You'll just have to wait and see if somebody is able to and who that person is if they are able to.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Let's see. We still got two viewers here. If either one of you, Matt or Buster Boy, I'm assuming it's the other one still, if he's still there because he hasn't said anything in a while. But if either one of you got any more questions, comments, please leave them in there.
And
And
it could be
for
anything. It doesn't have to be about backyard wrestling. I mean, it can be behind the scenes. It can be anything that it's going on in pro wrestling. I mean, we can really talk about anything.
if you want to go that route, let's do that a little then. What is your favorite promotion, pro wrestling wise, to watch and why?
I mean, I think the common answer would be WWE, but the content they've been putting on lately is just, I don't know. Hell in a Cell. I think Raw hasn't been too bad, but I feel like the Shield was reunited just purely to try to get Roman Reigns over before. I mean, it feels like the Destin WrestleMania main event next year is going to be Roman versus Brock.
Yeah, I'd
And
agree.
I don't really know how I feel about that, but SmackDown was great. SmackDown was really good pre WrestleMania. But ever since they did the Superstar
Yeah.
shakeup and Genders became champion, SmackDown has
Oh,
just
geez.
skyrocketed, just downhill, I think. Um, Nakamura's mystique to me is partially gone now because Nakamura is one of those guys that is a special attraction. I think he needs to be protected, but with
Yeah, and they
Jinder
definitely haven't done
lose,
it.
yeah, for sure. With Jinder beating him, it's Hell in a Cell, and how they've scripted Nakamura's promos, they definitely haven't done him any favors.
No, they haven't. That's one thing I will say that a lot of people mention that Vince just he seems to not care for these NXT guys when they get brought up. He seems to shit on them pretty much. You haven't really seen one person come up from NXT and have that much success, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Because what works in NXT, and then when they bring them up on the main roster, they want to completely try to change what they did in NXT, like what worked in NXT, which I don't understand. I mean, Nakamura was booked great in NXT. He was protected. Finn Balor was, and then Neville was. I mean, uh, Neville didn't do anything until he joined the cruiserweights. I mean, he was just kind of there.
Yep.
God, Sami Zayn didn't really do much. He really hasn't done anything up until Hell in a Cell. I mean, he had some great matches against Kevin Owens and stuff, but they really haven't put him in any high-profile stuff. I think the only guy that I can really think of that's really done a lot coming out of NXT is Kevin Owens.
True. I would say with Finn Balor, the case was they did kind of skyrocket him when he first came back, giving him the Universal title right away. But after he got injured and he came back, they haven't done anything with him. So
I feel like he came back at a really bad time because Raw right now is stacked with their main event. I mean, I know Samoa Joe's injured right now, but I mean, you got Lesnar, you got Strowman, you got Joe, you got Reigns, and then you got Rollins and Ambrose, and then you got Balor and Wyatt, and it seems like a lot of the really talented guys are kind of lost in the shuffle on Raw due to how many main event names there are over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't like Bray Wyatt's on Raw. I think he needs to be moved back to SmackDown. I mean, he's not really doing it. Like, after this feud with Balor, I don't know where you even go with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I agree with that. They definitely need to shift some of the main eventers from Raw over to SmackDown Live because SmackDown could use it. I mean, this whole gender experiment, if you want to call it an experiment, has just failed so miserably, in my opinion.
Exactly.
They got to get the title off of him for one.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, I would have taken the gender a lot better had he won the United States Championship because I don't like it when a guy goes from jobber to straight to world championship, like, within, like, a month's time. Because I think I would have taken a lot. His gimmick would have been much better suited for the U.S. Championship. Like, I think the whole summer for WWE would have been better had Mahal and Orton been for the U.S. Championship and then Styles and Owens for the WWE Championship. To me, that would have made a lot more sense. And it kind of, and plus genders matches kind of get frustrating too because Hell in a Cell, I think, was the first one that didn't have the same finish. I mean, Backlash, Sting Brothers interfered, Kavas. Same thing with Money in the Bank. Same thing with Battleground, which was even inside a Punjabi prison. And then same thing with Nakamura at SummerSlam.
Right.
And with him basically beating Nakamura at Hell in a Cell clean, I don't even know.
Right.
I was heavily against that.
Me too. Like you said, there's just that mystique about Nakamura that needs to be protected, and they're killing it, honestly.
Exactly, and I feel like, and Nakamura, unfortunately, I don't think he had a great person to feud with initially. I mean, because they brought him up, and then he did that one match against Ziggler,
right?
And then they threw him in Money in the Bank, and then they started throwing him like towards Jinder already for the World Championship.
After a little brief feud with Baron Corbin, and that didn't do him anything. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think Nakamura would have benefited had he. Here's how I would have done it. I would have had Nakamura win the U.S. Championship some point at the summer, maybe SummerSlam or something. I would have had AJ win the WWE Championship. I'd have AJ carry it. I'd probably turn AJ heel at some point before WrestleMania 34. And then I'd have Nakamura win the Rumble. And then you get Nakamura Styles for the WWE title at WrestleMania. I mean, that's the direction that I would go with it personally. And then if you want to have Jinder be the U.S. champion, I guess you could throw Jinder versus Cena because, I mean, what is Cena going to do at Mania? And then what is Jinder going to do?
Rumor has it might be Cena and Samoa Joe at WrestleMania, but we'll see what happens.
I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I think that's something to go for. The only thing I'm worried about is what do they do with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania? Because I know it's rumored to be Reigns versus Lesnar. And I think WWE, like, I know the last shakeup didn't work, but I think there needs to be another one. Because I'd move Charlotte and Becky Lynch over to Raw. And then I'd have moved Bayley and Sasha over to SmackDown. That way at WrestleMania next year, you can get Asuka and Charlotte and then Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I think I didn't care for the superstar shakeup for one, so I say they just need to bring the draft back. But
I agree. Like, I didn't like the way they did it. It's like they literally, like, they didn't really announce anything. Like, say, like, just use Dean Ambrose, for example. His music just hit and he just walked out. It's like, okay, he's on Raw now. It's like, how the hell did this happen?
Right. Yeah, it definitely needs, if they're going to continue doing the superstar shakeup, they definitely need to do something different with it.
The main thing I'm glad for though is AJ didn't move over to Raw. I like AJ on
Yeah.
SmackDown. I think he needs to stay on SmackDown.
Yeah, AJ Styles to me is like the Undertaker was with the previous brand extension. Taker was SmackDown all the way. AJ is to me SmackDown all the way.
Yeah,
So
that's what I think too. And yeah, and like in Roman to me is like Cena was. Like after Cena went to Raw in 2005 and just stayed there, to me that's how Roman's going to be. I don't ever see him really moving to SmackDown.
yeah, if he does, I'll definitely be surprised. I know there was rumors that he possibly could have during this last Superstar shakeup, but it didn't happen. And I don't see it ever happening, honestly.
I don't either. Do you ever see the title switching shows? Like I know they'd have to get a new Universal Championship because I mean it's purely red. But do you ever see the WWE Championship going back to Raw?
I won't say never because with the previous brand extension, we did see the title switch shows a couple different times. So I wouldn't be
That is
surprised
true.
to see the titles changing at some point, but you never know with Vince.
I really want the Intercontinental Championship to go back to SmackDown though. Like I think the Intercontinental Championship is good on SmackDown and the US was good on Raw. Like I didn't really like how they switched that up.
In a way, I'm kind of glad the Intercontinental title's on Raw right now because with Brock Lesnar being the Universal Champion,
No,
you
yeah,
don't
good.
see him that much. So
I didn't really like it. And then like Raw's not doing terrible right now, but the Shield reunion to me was just kind of a cheap way to get like more viewers and try to get Roman cheered because I don't know,
yeah,
like I
they're just doing it to try and combat against Monday Night Football is the main reason right now. So
exactly. And I wish the Shield like I really wish they would have saved this for like a more like desperate time.
yeah,
Um like I hate how they just kind of reunited them just for the sake of reuniting them. I feel like there really should have been a big story to it. And
right.
I'd like to this lead to another Shield triple threat though, because I feel like the first one we got was really rushed and just kind of a lackluster.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure we'll get that triple threat, but who knows? We might at some point. I know from what I've seen, rumors wise, the plan is that Dean Ambrose is going to be the one to eventually turn on Seth Rollins and be the heel in a feud between the two of them, possibly leading up
I'd
to a
like
match
that.
between the two of them at Mania. So it could be
Yeah, I
quite
think that'd be
interesting.
it. Yeah, it would.
Yeah. So Busta Boy had to put in a couple of things here. He says Jamal Payne has become BYW's 2012 version of Batista. True. He says, I'm just waiting for Jamal to cry one more match like Christian in 2015. And he says, NXT is ran by Triple H, and you can tell.
Yeah, you definitely can
I
tell
would,
like polar opposite
yeah,
difference between the NXT and the main roster. Like it sucks for Survivor Series because you have Takeover War Games on that Saturday, and then you have Survivor Series on that Sunday. And 9 times out of
yeah, I
10,
think
takeovers are always better than the main roster pay per views.
true that. That's the point I was just going to make. With War Games, they're supposed to be changing it from how it was done in WCW in some way, shape, or form. They haven't revealed how yet, but still, War Games is definitely going to outdo pretty much anything that Survivor Series will put on, in my opinion. So.
I agree. Oh, and speaking of gimmick matches, I just thought about this because I've been watching some 2K18 gameplay and stuff, and there's the Elimination Chamber on there. What do you think earlier in the year when they changed the Elimination Chamber? Like, I totally do not like the new setup of it. Like the old one to me, like looked great in it. The new
Yeah,
one was just kind of.
so my opinion on the new version of the Elimination Chamber is kind of the same as yours. It was interesting to see how they changed it up, the black instead of all the silver and stuff. But I guess I can understand why they would change it that way because they don't want it to look as gruesome. Maybe is what the old one was with it being a PG era. But I still prefer the original version more so than that one.
Yeah, me too. And I really wish WWE would get rid of some of the gimmick pay per views. Like, I think Hell in a Cell should be saved for like. I mean, Kevin and Shane was a hot feud, so that makes sense. But all right, and
Right.
Usos New Day was great, but I think Hell in a Cell should be saved for a feud that really needs it, and a feud that
Yeah.
really needs to be like that should be the final match of the feud. Like, I feel like you should only get Hell in a Cells very
Yeah.
occasionally instead of having a pay per view with them every year. To me, that just kind of devalues the concept of Hell in a Cell.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I've felt that way, as many people do, for quite a long time. There's so many
Yeah,
different things they can do with their pay per views instead of just having gimmick pay per views.
yeah, I 100% agree because Yeah, their gimmick pay-per-views get a little bit old at times. Like I mean, and then plus they're always like straight back to back. Like 'cause you have
Right.
TLC, and then you have I guess you had Hell in a Cell, then you have TLC,
Right.
and then I hope WWE really picks it up soon because what they've done, like this year to me has been a really good year for wrestling as a whole, but not for WWE in general. Because there's been a lot of great stuff. I mean, like the whole G1 in New Japan, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
All of New Japan stuff's been pretty good this year. I mean, I really don't like what they've done with Omega because I feel like he should be higher up on the card. But yeah, I don't really watch a lot of GFW though. I guess TNA, GFW, whatever
Me
you want
either.
to call it. I don't really pay much attention to that.
I used to, but the last year or so, it's just like not worth it. In my opinion. So.
Exactly, because they lost the Hardy Boys. I mean, they've lost everything like that they had, like every tool that they've had.
Yeah. So Matt Maverick says Jamal Payne versus Maverick has a good ring to it, or even Jamal versus Hendrix in that matter. Need to talk to Joe Cool about that.
I need to get down to Vindication sometime, maybe, or I need to. I definitely need to shut Jamal Payne up at some point.
Somebody does, yeah.
Jamal Payne, his whole thing is, I'm the star of the new era. It's like, well, I've been around just as long.
Right.
I'm want to be the star of the new era. So in order to do that, it looks like I got to take Jamal Payne out. So at some point,
Yeah, and Jamal Payne,
there may be a match. Who knows?
you know, Jamal Payne was my first guest on here, but he has changed in demeanor quite a bit since I had him on here. So,
Yeah, that's for sure. He
uh,
acting a damn fool on every Vindication there is.
lately, yes, I would agree with you on that. But I still do support Jamal Payne too. So, put that one out there. Since we were on the topic there, a little bit of these different gimmicks that WWE likes to use. Are there any gimmicks that you would like to see done in backyard wrestling that we don't really see that often? Like I've seen, I can't say any specific companies, but I have seen that there are some steel cage matches out there in backyard wrestling.
Yeah, that'd be like cool to see. I really think uh some more ladder matches would be good. I mean, you don't really see ladder matches very much in backyard
That's
wrestling. I
true.
mean, very occasionally, but and sometimes, and I've been guilty of this myself. Sometimes like sometimes ladder matches in backyard wrestling don't exactly live up to the hype, but
Right.
they can. So I feel like I love ladder matches. So I feel like that would be a nice addition.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know, like just get more like sometimes like backyard wrestling can get like really formulaic with the type of like match types. I feel like every time it's a hardcore match, it's like last man standing or something like that. I think just
Right.
like you don't see three stages of hell a lot. Like I think that'd be a nice addition. Like those you
That's
don't
true.
ever really get, or 2 out of 3 falls, just anything of that nature you don't really
Yeah.
see either.
Yeah, you definitely don't see those very often. Once in a while, you'll see like a short Iron Man match, whether it be, for instance, at Best in the Yard 3, we've seen a 15-minute Iron Man match.
Yeah, yeah,
That's all you got to say about that one, I take, huh?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I love Corey to death, but I don't know. And Evan Blake is a really nice guy, but I just
Right.
spoiler alert: every match at Best in the Yard had a 15-minute time limit, other than the big ones. So I feel like if you're gonna do it, an Iron Man match should be saved for like those long. And this is not a dig at Jamal Payne or Evan Blake. They put on a hell of a match. It was. I love both guys, but I really
Mm-hmm.
think I to me it had no business being an Iron Man match. I
Right.
really just think it should have been if they wanted to use weapons, just make it a no holds barred match, and then just
Yeah.
go the same time limit. Because like 15-minute Iron Man match to me it kind of violates wrestling psychology because it's like, hey, most of my matches normally go over 15 minutes if it's one fall. So why is this Iron Man if it's 15 minutes? Like I thought the same problem was with Sasha and Charlotte at Roadblock last year. Like
Yeah.
when you have like the 25-minute time limit. Like if you're gonna do Iron Mans, I think they should go the distance. Like they should probably go like an hour long. To me, that makes the
Right.
most sense.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I mean, 30 minutes is okay, but still, yeah, if you're really going to do
Yeah,
an Iron Man match, it should be 60.
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, even like an Iron Man match or the Three Stages of Hell, like you mentioned, or let's see what else are there. Last man standing matches, you don't really see that often in backyard wrestling for that matter either. So
Yeah, and I think it'd be nice to see more of it. Like, and for me, I'm like, you could probably see this in my wrestling style. I'm an all technical wrestling person. I mean, I just love the art of wrestling in general, but like, there's not a lot of gimmick based matches like that, and I think there should be more of them. I think it'd add a lot. I think fans would definitely like
yeah,
it. It's something you don't see a lot of. Give a more variety to the show.
right, yeah, that's the way I feel about it too. It's not something that I'd want to see overdone, obviously, in any company, but just to bring it in every once in a while, it make for interesting matchups. And we see these feuds that, to me, honestly, could use them, like a let's say, oh, who to pick from it. There's so many different feuds that we've seen for BTW, for instance. Dustin Reagan when he first won the world title, and from Aaron Jones. Those two guys could have, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong there, but it was Aaron. Those two guys I thought could have done a little bit better if they had a little gimmick towards a match if they had another one after that. Even D-Lock and Zach Daniels with their feud they just recently had, even better to put. They had
Yeah,
quite a good last man standing match there. So if that's
yeah, that was a good one. I gotta watch it. I got D-Lock and I watched it a few weeks before it went up, and yeah, I definitely liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really good. The Fatal Four Way was also really good too. I think
yes,
the only thing that kind of hindered the Fatal Four Way is you had one heel and three baby faces, so I feel like
yeah,
it kind of struggled in that regard. But I mean, other than that, I thought the match was great. I thought all guys involved did really well.
right. I will say that some of the feuds you see in BTW and some other companies could go longer than what you see them do as well, in my opinion. So
Oh yeah,
that's just
I WTW can even be guilty of that sometimes, or sometimes they can even be guilty of going too long. But
too long.
yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of times it's a lot of one offs and dones, and uh,
Yeah.
like, and I understand like especially for the guys that are in full time companies, like in the same company, like for example, like King Crunch and I, like
Mm-hmm.
we should have a long feud just because I mean it makes sense. We're in the same company, and uh, but yeah, you know what I think would be really cool though. Speaking of ongoing feuds, I don't think there's ever been a rematch from any Best in the Yards. Like I don't think that's ever happened before, has it? To my knowledge, I don't think there
I don't
ever
believe
has
so.
been. I think it'd be cool to have like a two. I think Cage and Cameron could do it just because there was an
Yes.
indecisive finish of Best in the Yard. So, and I think it'd be a thing a lot of people want to see too is a second match between the two.
I know some people have even posted on Twitter they'd like to see a trilogy between those two. So
Yeah, yeah, I think more rematches of Best in the Yard would be cool. Sometimes
right.
I think some of the matches at Best in the Yard though, and sometimes where they're put can really affect it though. Like I was
Yeah, I would
lucky
agree.
enough to be put third. I think I think I was third. I
Third.
think it went
Yep.
the Bad Sons, Dustin and Dirty, and then the triple threat match. And
I believe
I was
so.
lucky enough to be early on in the show, which I feel like the live stream was still alive. But sometimes when I think there was 10 matches this year, sometimes when you're starting to hit that fifth or sixth or seventh match, the live stream really dies off. And
Right.
it's not anything that the talent's doing. I mean, the talent will be putting on great matches, but I just feel like it's where they're put out on the show. I mean, like you even see that with WrestleMania, like you saw that this year. I mean, like Randy Orton
Mm-hmm.
and Bray Wyatt, and even Rollins and Triple H, the crowd was just dead
Dead
because
for. Yep.
you had the Hardy Boys, and then part of the problem with WrestleMania this year was it peaked. The first match was the best match on the show, in my opinion. It
Yes,
opened
Shane
up
and
with
AJ with
AJ
the.
and Shane, and then like it just never picked
Yep.
up after that because everybody was like, "Oh, are we gonna see something better?" And then you just didn't see anything better than AJ versus Shane. So I feel like I love that was the show opener because it popped it off like
Right.
really well.
Right.
But yeah, it peaked early.
Yeah, because you got the huge crowd response when the Hardys returned, but still they weren't. Other than hearing the delete chants pretty much throughout that match, you didn't really get much of a reaction towards the TL, or the ladder match rather between those four teams.
Yeah, exactly. And I think part of WrestleMania's problem too is the amount of matches that are on the card that are not that really shouldn't be on the card. Like it
Right,
really
and how
should
long
just
it is.
be. I think the max of WrestleMania should just be like 8 matches. Like I think that's good. I think when they start getting to like 11 or 12 or
Yeah.
13, I just think it's a little overkill.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I know they're trying to get pretty much everybody on the roster on the show to get them a payday, but still, you could have more people in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the pre-show, if nothing else, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the cruiserweights too. I feel like they'd be better off if you threw them all in the ladder match, because I know
Yeah,
a lot of people call the cruiserweights spot monkeys. So they'd be, which I don't think they are, but I mean they're
no,
definitely athletic. So I feel like they would really benefit if you threw them like kind of how they used to do with the IC title and the ladder
yeah.
matches. Yeah, I think that'd be a nice addition for this coming years.
So, Matt Maverick says he was in a steel cage match back in UCBW, aka the Dog Cage, for one backyard wrestling cage match. He
I'll
says,
have to watch.
yeah, I haven't seen that either. I like to see more first blood matches, chain matches, cage matches in BYW. First blood and chain matches. Chain matches, they're all right. I'm not a big fan of those, but first blood matches, I could honestly say, I think would be a good fit for backyard wrestling more often.
Yeah, I do too. Uh, yeah, I agree on the chain matches with you. I think 9 times out of 10, chain matches are they're not terrible, but like they don't end up really ever sealing the show or being brutal.
Right?
Like Cena versus Rusev, that Russian chain match. I mean, it was from a few years ago. It was not good.
No, it wasn't. No, another match some people might say is like a bull rope match, but honestly, I would say that doesn't really need to take place either. So, because all you're doing in there is using like a rope, bull rope or whatever, and slapping the turnbuckles. It's just to see who can get all four at once
Yeah,
first. So, I wouldn't say that one would be one I would want to see either. You just
yeah,
have to,
same thing.
you just have to be picky, I guess, in what stipulation matches you'd want to use if you did go that route. But still, they have a spot in backyard wrestling that we don't see very often.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good at avoiding hardcore based matches because I don't do them a lot. But I mean, I'll be the first one to
Right.
admit I'm not the best at hardcore matches. I mean, I can do them, no doubt, but I'm more suited for just the pound for pound wrestling matches. Like that's kind of what my gimmick's based around
Yeah.
off of. So I feel like I feel like it's a lot. I mean, like I'll do hardcore matches when the feud calls for it, but and if fans want to see it, I'll do it. But overall, I don't really like doing them all that much.
Right. Nah. Maverick also posted, me and K9 were in a last man standing match once. BYW would be cool with it more of it.
Yeah, I would
I
be.
agree.
Um, yeah, I was shocked to see the additions to VCW. Their roster size has really grown since even Mania back in June.
Yeah, and they're not done yet, from what I've heard.
Yeah, that's what I've heard
Two
too.
more
So yeah,
successes. Seems how Matt Maverick, who we're speaking of, hasn't really shown up, I don't think, yet on BTW programming, and we know he's going to.
yeah, I don't think he has either, or I don't think it's been much if he has.
Right. Yes, Busta Boy, I would agree the Braun Panties matches were terrible.
Yeah, and there's not really anyone suited to do those in backyard wrestling. Considering I don't think there's any company with women's wrestlers that I know of personally.
I know BTW at one point was thinking of bringing in a women's division, but things didn't go as they wanted it to. So
Yeah,
honestly, I think it would be an interesting thing if some company did have the chance to bring in women's wrestlers. So
yeah, I do
I'm
too. I
sure there
think
are some.
with him from other companies.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some girls out there that would enjoy doing that too.
Yeah,
Uh, so I want to get your opinion on one little topic here in backyard wrestling, something that we don't see that often besides hardcore matches of sorts. Tag team wrestling. What's your thoughts on it in backyard wrestling?
I think tag teams wrestling is really cool in backyard wrestling. I just think if you're gonna do tag team wrestling, you should have a really strong division to do tag team wrestling. But overall, I think it does need to be like showcased more though,
Right.
because like you don't really see it hardly ever. I mean,
Agreed.
VCW, I know, started their tag division. I know they had one back in the day, but they brought it back at Mania, and I think it's done pretty well so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're starting to get some more teams. At first, I was kind of like, well, who are they going to face? But now that you got the Mephistos, Ecstatic,
Yeah.
and Tyler, D'Lo, and Casey Chambers, Is that it, or is there more?
I believe that's it for right now.
I think so too. But yeah, I like tag team wrestling and backyard wrestling if your roster can call for it.
Oh, yes, he's right. Episode 44 against Cameron Jackson.
Oh yes,
Right.
yes. Okay,
Okay.
I
Okay,
remember
so
that.
once. I'm sorry. Apologize. Do remember that. But yeah, I agree with you on that. I believe tag team wrestling is something we could see more of as well. BTW, I'm glad, has a tag team division. I know there's another company called BBW. Don't know if you see that much or that. They have a tag team division there that's pretty stacked. I also do know there is one tag team out there that is planning on going to several different companies, and I wouldn't be surprised to see show up in BTW to go for those tag team titles as well.
Yeah,
Being the
I
Murder
think.
Club members.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to be a part of a tag team too. Like I've always been a singles guy, so like, but I think it'd be fun to do it. I've never been able to do it
Right.
before, so. Well, that's a lie. Chase Chambers and I were Excalibur for once. I totally forgot about that. That totally blanked my mind. We were Excalibur for a few months, but we really didn't get to do a lot of tag matches because WCW's roster is so small. We're more just like I feel like we were more just like how Reigns and Ambrose were post Shield.
Yeah. Matt says, "Damn, Jamal ruined it." All right. But yeah, I definitely could say BTW is doing a decent job, I'd say, with their tag team division so far, but they could use some more tag teams, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Yankee and Rick Rios pop up eventually in part of their tag team division for
Yeah, I could
maybe
definitely
not
see
for a
that
year.
happening.
But yeah, it'd be good if they keep this tag team division going. I even talked to them about it. I think Ecstatic was one of them I said too. One thing I would like to see from their tag team division is see them get some tag teams up and maybe even do a tag team turmoil match. It's not something you see in backyard wrestling.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I think VCW is putting out a lot of good stuff right now. And like just speaking how like
Right.
tag team wrestling and stuff like how stuff's evolved. It's crazy to think how like when I first came into backyard wrestling how this community was and then now it seems like there's so many less companies around that cross
It's
over
true.
with because like I mean UWE and APW I think it's safe to say UWE is pretty much gone.
Just about, yeah.
And
They got a couple
APW
more.
is over. Uh
Yep.
yeah, I mean and then you got BEW in New York and VTW that do a lot of stuff. But
Yeah, I would definitely say BW New York and VTW are the two biggest companies when it comes to backyard wrestling in the East Coast, anyways.
yeah, I would agree. I think it's funny because like we get thrown in the East Coast, even though we're in Kansas, we cross over with the East Coast guys. So I feel like we're thrown into the community. But
Yeah.
even though we're in a totally different uh, environment, you could say. But I don't know. Like there's not really any companies around where I live though, so I
Right.
think we're one of the only ones.
I know there is at least one company, I think about two or three that exist where I live in Michigan here too, but got to get
Yeah,
some of those guys on here too because they don't get their many people watching their shows either. I know personally for me, when it comes to BTW, that's a place I would love to attend sometime, see what they've got live in person.
fly down for
So
Best in the Yard 4.
maybe we'll see. Hey, nudge, nudge. Oh,
It's fun. It's something I can't describe, and it's weird to go down there because I'm so used to how things are in WCW, and then seeing how BTW does things is pretty interesting.
yeah. How would you say the mood was backstage at Best in the Yard this year? How were things?
Um, it was fun. I mean, everybody was pretty happy. I mean, the day of Best in the Yard was kind of stressful though because I mean, we're kind of under time constraints of we had a certain amount of time to get the show done, so. I mean, and it took a while to actually get the filming rolling, but overall,
Okay.
I mean, everybody was pretty happy and pretty excited to be there. But a lot of people like a lot of the New York guys got hotels. I think the only people like I slept in VTW's garage, like where they used to come out from when they came in
Yeah.
the trampoline, and I think when they still wrestle on the trampoline. But I think the people that stayed in there were Ecstatic, his girlfriend, Cage, D-Man, AK-47. Me, Aaron, and Dirty the Chico. I think we're the only guys in the garage.
Nice. That's an interesting group of people.
Yeah, it is.
Sure, you
But
probably
yeah,
have.
overall, it's a fun experience. I want to go back there next year. We'll see if I will. I don't know yet.
My Maverick says I'll get you first class in Maverick Airlines. Oh, thanks. Oh, that was the thing. No, no. I actually did have somebody ask me to attend Best in the Yard 3 this year. Just didn't get the chance to do it because I was in between jobs at the time. So
Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah, it's expensive too. That's for sure. I mean, luckily for me, like
right.
I was originally born in Georgia, so a lot of my family lives in the South. But and my brother and sister are both Marines, and they're stationed in North Carolina. So it's fairly easy to go down to VTW, but it's expensive.
Yeah, I hear you there. So I definitely have to check on flight prices and all that stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Since seems we still got only 2 viewers, if either one of you guys got any more questions, we'll wrap this up here in a little bit. Send them out. See what we got. Comments, questions, whatever. All right. Let's see. Who else in WTW would you like to get a chance to face that you possibly haven't been able to get in there with yet? Besides Daniel
I
Devitt.
haven't ever faced Relic. He's another guy I'd want to face. I have not faced Daniel Devitt. I think those are the only two. Yeah, Relic and Daniel Devitt are two guys that I want to work with. Relic just because he's unique. He's really dark theme character. I think we have similar wrestling styles. And Daniel Devitt is new. I want to see what he can bring to the table.
Any other opinions or thoughts about King Crunch?
Oh God. Well, other than arrogant piece of trash, I feel like he's also very overlooked in the same sense outside of WTW. Even though I think he yeah, I think he's really good at what he does though. I think he's really found what works for him as a character, and I think very he's a very good in ring performer, but in the sense of he's holding something I want, and I'm gonna get it one way or another. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know if I'll get my rematch. We'll see on Mayhem. Should be up tomorrow, but yeah, I'll get the championship one way or another. I do think there's an unspoken respect between King Crunch and myself, though.
That's good. Now, what was your thoughts of what he had to say about your trip to Best in the Yard during Mania? I don't know
Uh,
if you caught it or not, because I think it was during your entrance, but he was saying something about who cares or who watches that company.
yes, yes. I think I was, yeah, I think I was on the outside because I think he came
Yeah,
out, he came out second in the Mania match because we have a unspoken rule in WCW that the champion always comes out second. But
the way it should be, in my opinion.
it was interesting. I mean, King Crunch's thoughts on that were very, very interesting. I mean, who knows? Maybe he said he got turned down a match. I mean, I don't know. King Crunch and I really, I mean, we don't speak. We're not friends. So, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, very interesting topic there. I mean, maybe there's some bitterness that I was the one to represent WTW, and as the champion, he wasn't. But I don't know. I haven't really talked much about it.
Gotcha. Do you think there'll be a time where we might see you guys in WTW wrestle inside a ring instead of on the trampoline?
Unfortunately, probably not. I mean, you'll see some WTW guys in the ring. I mean, like probably when we go to VTW and stuff. But
Right.
overall, in terms of WTW as a whole being in a ring, probably not because I don't know if I should say this or not. I mean, screw it. I mean, it's not like I really have anyone to answer to. WCW will end in 2019. I mean, that's a guarantee. We've known that since we started. So I feel like it almost just be not really a waste of money, but in a sense, kind of, because it's already almost 2018. So to try to get a ring when we know we're ending in 2019, it wouldn't have that long of a span in the ring. And it's just a lot of money financially. So, no, I see WCW staying on the trampoline. There may be ropes or something like VTW had that might get added, but in terms of full on ring, I don't think so.
All right. Just figured ask that one. Got something that people probably would wonder about.
Yeah, that people probably do wonder. I mean, I'll love it. I'll love for it to be in a ring. I definitely would, but I just don't see it coming about.
I hear you on the whole expensive part, and wouldn't make sense if you guys are closing your doors in 2019. Then
Yeah.
yeah, that all makes sense. All
What's
right.
gonna be curious though is to see what goes down for Mania 3 next year. I mean, I mean, obviously the goal is to do outdo what we did for Mania 2, but should
Right.
be interesting to see what happens at Mania 3. That's for sure.
Now you may not be able to answer this one fully, but do you believe that Chase Bridges will ever show up again in WTW?
Um, I mean,
Hendrix,
never
sorry.
say never. Anything can happen. I mean, I'll say this: there's been talks. There definitely has been communication between the two sides. I personally would love for him to come back and have a full time run like he used to.
Right.
I think it's in the car. I mean, never say never. I don't want to say yes because I don't want people to hold my word to it because it's not a guarantee. But I don't want to say no either. So I mean, never say never.
Fair enough. Just had to ask that question since he was a no-show at Mania that too.
Yeah,
So
that was one match that I really wanted to see too. I really want to see Wesley Walker and Chase Chambers. I mean, it kind of reminded me of a Triple H Seth Rollins scenario of their dynamic a little bit. So
speaking of Wesley Walker, I'll ask this one too. What is your opinions of what he did to T-Bone?
I think what he did to T Bone, I don't think it was fair. I mean, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of T Bone. I mean, there's not really any love lost between Jackson Hendrix and T Bone. I think we've gotten past the point of hatred. I think him and I are just
Gotcha.
kind of there. I think we're just kind of indifferent to each other. But I mean, I don't think it's any secret. T Bone had Daniel Devitt beat, undoubtedly. So, but for Wesley Walker to come in
True.
and cause T-Bone the match, which I thought was kind of funny because originally in the beginning of WTW, Wesley Walker chose T-Bone over Daniel Devitt. Daniel Devitt didn't make his debut until a year and a half later. So I think it's kind of ironic that the guy he chose, he ended up turning on. So, I mean, I don't know. I want to see where this goes, though. I mean, surely T-Bone's going to have something to say on Mayhem.
Well, yeah, I'd be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So you want to leave in the comment. Well, we'll leave it in the comment section as well. But where can people find you and WTW on social media?
Okay, you can. I know this sounds really bad, but there is an Instagram page of WTW out there, but I don't exactly know the username because I wasn't the one that created it. But at WTWBYW on Twitter, at T-Bone WTW for T-Bone's Twitter, at Devitt WTW for Daniel Devitt / his personal Twitter. Don't even get me started on that. At Fight King Fight for King Crunch's Twitter, and at WTW Hendrix for mine, and WTW Wrestling on YouTube.
All right. Any last words before we close this one out?
Thank you for having me on. It was really nice to come on here and be able to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and kind of tell some stories that I don't normally get to tell.
And not a problem. And thank you again for joining me here on Tiger Talks Wrestling.
No problem.
I appreciate it anytime I can get anybody on here, whether they're very well known in the community or just newer in the community. Hopefully, get some more eyes on you guys because, my opinion, you guys put on a pretty good product there in WTW. So
Thank you. I
definitely,
mean, sometimes it can be overlooked, but I mean that's okay.
yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I know it's overlooked a little bit, but hopefully we can get some more people watching and get you guys some more subscribers as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's always the goal.
All right. Thank you once again. And this has been Tiger Talks Wrestling. We will have at least one more show this upcoming week. Don't know when yet, but I can tell you who the next guest should be here on Tiger Talks Wrestling. That is one brother man with the master plan. Brother Cameron Jackson, is set to be on Tiger Talks Wrestling at some point this week. Unless things fall through, look forward to seeing that one. Thank you again, Jackson, for being on today. I appreciate it. I had a blast.
Thank you for having me.
And you're welcome. It's been Tiger Talks Wrestling. We'll catch you guys next time.